Yes, people, how are we all? So, there was two main questions from the game in Sheffield Wednesday. One, why couldn't we break them down? Two, why is Joe Piroe playing in the 10? And I guess another question is, why don't we have a 10 natural? Is the 10 the reason we couldn't break them down? Should Joe Piroe be playing in the 10? Should Ruta and Piroe switch? These are the questions we're looking at. These are the questions I want to understand. And these are the questions in this video which I'm going to research and try and find out the reason, the thinking behind Daniel Farke and why he decided to do that. Because there's clearly a reason why he did this. Let's get into it. Initially, and what I have to say going into this is West Ham, Sheffield Wednesday played a lower block, 5 at the back, 4 in midfield, 9 across the back. It's a tough one to crack. You have to take risk. You have to be good off the ball to break that down. Now, if you've not come up against this, or if you've not trained for a back 5, maybe at least trained for a back 4 low block, it's hard to decipher what you need to do. The importance is movement, off the ball movement. And actually, you have to stretch and create depth. Otherwise, it will just be a constant block. Now, in terms of attributes, and again, talking about attributes to the players, not necessarily the positions, Jorginho Ruta is quicker than Joe Piroe, and his off-the-ball movement is more explosive and precise. And he'll drift wider effectively. So actually having, at times, Ruta come from deep and then actually be that last man in striker works, because what you do is stretch a defence. And that's how you beat a block. You have to stretch them, create width, and make sure they come out of position, stretch them, and turn them around. And that's what Jorginho Ruta did. Now, Jorginho Ruta can't necessarily do that from the 10 role because there's no space in there during a block, right? And then if he does break that, where's the forward runner in the striking position? Joe Piroe can do it, but he's not as effective or as quick as Jorginho Ruta. So it made sense in that way that when we did attack, Jorginho Ruta made that run, and that was the trigger for Joe Piroe to sit a little bit. I don't necessarily think it was as simple as 9 and 10. And again, when they had the ball, Jorginho Ruta is a better presser and a better runner than Joe Piroe, so the high pressure would have worked better with Ruta at the top. It was very interchangeable in that sense. There wasn't a specific position. Jorginho Ruta didn't play up front in a traditional 9 role. It's about the role that you have in that position. Jorginho Ruta did drop deep. He did drop off the line. But what he did was, when we broke through midfield and Somerville would get that ball in the 10 role, Jorginho Ruta would then sprint to the last man and create width and depth for the side, which created chances and openings. I'll show you that now. So Luke's just played an excellent pass through their midfield into Chris Somerville. And this is the position now where we are dangerous. Now look at Jorginho Ruta and Joe Piroe. Fairly level, both central, more of a 2 up top, but not on the last man. Because this is when you create confusion. You're not on the last man now. The trigger is now. The second Cree gets that ball in that position. And let's look a few seconds later. As you can see, he's already going. Jorginho Ruta is creating confusion, depth and width and space in here. Joe Piroe cannot do that effectively because he's not as quick and explosive. Joe Piroe is sitting in this position because he can easily create from here. You know what I mean? Ruta could probably do this role. I don't think Piroe can do this role because Piroe doesn't perfectly fit a Daniel Farke system. Said it before, he doesn't. We have to adapt the way we play to fit Joe Piroe. And that's what we are trying to do. And this is the way we're trying to do it. We did it against Ipswich and it worked perfectly in the attacking sense. There was a bit of a lack of balance between attack and defence for me. But against a low block, this is what we have to do. We have to find a way. And Jorginho Ruta making these unselfish runs, you know, these stretching runs, these depth runs that create space in all these areas here, creating all this space in the middle. Look at the overload. That's where we need to do. And then we're at this position. There's Cree right there in the middle. We're at this position a second later. Now, and this is, and Cree Somerville's come from the right. So now you're looking at two things. A ball in this space for Jorginho, just a little side foot, just in this space. He's on the last man. And look how he's occupied this defender and actually all these guys and created space for Cree to drive forward. Now, Joe Piroe now is in a position where he knows Cree's going to drive into where he stood. So now he's making that run to occupy this defender. And there it is. We created a 1v1 out wide, not a 2v1, which was the issue. And this came from the original start, was a cutting pass from Luke Ayling through their midfield into Cree, who tucked inside. Jorginho Ruta then made the run out wide, which created that space, which has allowed us, and Cree should have done the ball to Ruta. That was the pass. Piroe's took him out of it. Cree Somerville has drove into that space, and now it's a 1v1 situation with the fullback, which is what we didn't do enough. The Cree pass was terrible. The defender read it. And this is what I mean. The little things like that. That pass has got to be better into him there. Simple things, and there's a 1v1, and we're in on goal. Archie Gray on the ball there. The second he got that ball, the rotation in the middle, there's space in the middle, but it was getting the ball to the middle, which was the issue. And Cree was there originally, and he rotated back, and Jorginho came in, but they were on that. You know, they really packed this area, which is why we had to create the depth. And as you can see here, Jorginho Ruta is not at the striker, he's at the 10 role. So it's about the fluid movements. It's not necessarily a position, it's the attributes we have on the pitch to be a best effective. And you can't really drop deep in this position, right? Because you can't create depth, because look how deep they are already. They're almost at the edge of the box, that defensive line. It's hard to get a ball in behind in this position. So we had to break it down by being patient and then line cutting passes, taking risks, which we didn't do enough of. And there is a second later, Jorginho has vacated and dropped deeper, and now Cree's in that position. But again, these three midfielders here are completely blocking that off. So even if you had a 10, that's what you had a 10, they worked for that. Whoever was in that position, whether it was the 10 or the winger or the centre mid, they worked for that. And I'll tell you what we needed to do to be more effective going forward when that comes to it in a bit. But this was the issue. We couldn't get it to these players. And they were moving. I'm watching it. They were moving. But in order to receive the ball here, you have to... And it's the midfield for me. We are too safe in this position. We had to take more risks with the other midfielder picking up areas in these areas. The space. Where the space was, we were too safe on the ball. You can't get it to the creative guys if there's two midfielders sitting at a block. We didn't need to be that deep. There's just two guys there watching him. Actually, once he's passed that ball, should get in this area. Great confusion. Drag Barry Bannon out of this area. Drag one of these guys out of this area. Archie Gray has to drop in here. Create an overload. Create more space for the guys in the 10 area, in that midfield. Because we didn't do that. We didn't stretch them enough. And this was the issue throughout the game. We're only 2 minutes in here. And again, just a quick one on Jorginho coming back, winning the ball in midfield, and now look at creating an attack in this position. Right? Piroe is deeper than Jorginho in this position, but Jorginho is also deep. We don't have a guy on the last man. We don't have a striker. We're kind of playing with 3 10s in this position. Because Cree is also in there. And this is what I mean. With the press and off the ball, we didn't necessarily play with a striker. We had to play with 2 up top or none up top. And we fingered them across the midfield and played with 3 10s. To create a press, so then we could be effective in the press. And Ruta plays an absolutely outstanding ball to Cree. Cuts 3 of them out of it. Creates a 1v1 situation here, and he has to do better. He slows it down. Beery's just got to drive at this guy 1v1 and have a shot. And this is the little things we didn't do well enough. The movement was good in areas it was. And this is the point here. We won the ball with the press. Jorginho Ruta won the ball in the press. Got forward, but we just weren't decisive enough in those final areas. Now, another issue for me was the lack of bravery in the midfield to attack. And now you look at the 2 midfielders here. Ampadu is just behind my head. Apologies, you can't see him. Just behind my head there. Even Ampadu on the picture, just below my head. And Archie Gray. They both don't need to be that deep. Now the issue is... Move my head. The issue is here. These 2 did great. These 2 were great together. They were. But there was no progression inside. Because look at the way Sheffield Wednesday set up. In this position, they are blocking off any area in the middle. It's 1v1 with these guys, so 2v2, and they've got a guy waiting for any ball in behind in these areas. So how do you counter that? And again, this is about the midfielder, the spare man in midfield, being more progressive and getting forward with the ball. Because now, what you could do in this situation, Shaq can run the outside, Non-tuck and tuck inside, and you've got another guy in this area who can feed passes through the gaps. You know, and there's a really good example I'll get into in the second half. These were the other things that we missed. And to people suggesting we didn't have chances is a lie. This is the first one with Joe Piroe on the edge of the box. And Joe Piroe should be finishing that. And Joe Piroe does usually finish that. That's a big chance, and that should have gone in. That's number 1. And the other chance we create is here. Chris Somerville doing some, again, being part of the attack, do some great work in midfield, driving forward with the ball, and just simply, the ball's here, picking a pass through to Jorginho Ruta, who was on the last man and stretching the defence. And look, there's no one around him. This is what he can do. Jorginho has brilliant movement. He does. On the last man, he has excellent movement. The problem is when he gets in the positions to score, he overthinks, which is what Daniel Farke said. And this is why Jorginho is good in these areas, because he can get on the last man and create chances in front of goal. Joel Piroe is not that guy in this sense. He isn't. He's ball to feet. He's better at ball to feet. Or, you know, in a position where he's already near the edge of the box and doesn't have to vacate to it. Yeah, here it is. Chance number 2, where we should have scored. Excellent save. But they're 2 big chances early in the game where we did break them down and we did get through on goal. That's 2 already. Now, this was a constant issue in the game. And to apply context, Ethan Ampadu was at the other side of the pitch and is slowly making his way across. This was good from these 2. It was. But as you can see, look at the space vacated. I don't mind these 2 in the box. That's Jorginho Ruta and Joel Piroe in the box. I don't mind that at all. Because you need more than one in the box. We need players in the box. And Luke Ayling will be arriving at the back stick. The issue is, the midfield runners have to quickly get in this position and just be an extra midfielder. Be an extra attacker. Look at the space. These 2 are dragging these 2 out of position. There's an absolutely massive gap vacated for anyone to run into. The third man runs, the late runs. This is what we didn't do. And this is why these 2 were so isolated out here. That's not their fault. They were waiting for that midfielder run to come from anywhere in here. And even if Ampadu's out of position, even a centre-back, you have to take risks against a low block or you will not break it down. It'll be tough to break it down. It'll have to be a mistake or a defender out of position. You have to take risks because you'll never have an overload because there's so many of them. Right? And we didn't. And this was the issue. There was no one vacating these spaces. When these 2 did really well in these areas, where's the space? Where's the person? Where are they? As you can see, his shot cuts inside. It's not a bad, but it's a difficult chance. If a guy had come in earlier, you've got a 1v1 in the box. Ampadu's there. I just think just 2 or 3, just a little quicker, and he would have been in that area. A little more urgency to get in that attacking area. You know, and that's the risk you have to take in this league against a low block. And we didn't. And that was the issue. We didn't take those risks. That was the problem. Again, we win the ball high up in a press, which worked a few good times. And another big chance where we did break them down with 2 or 3 passes. Look, and that's what I mean. When we beat on the press, we were dangerous. We didn't take our chances. This is Crean on goal. This is the 3rd 1v1. Well, Piroe's wasn't, but let's be real. In that position, there's no defenders in front of him. He should have slotted it in the bottom corner. Another attempt here from Chris Somerville. Great run, great movement. Good ball by Jorginho Ruta. Weren't clinical, and that's 3 times we broke them down in clear 1v1 situations. That's enough to win you a game in any game, or it should be. But we didn't score from it. Now, this clip, you have to watch Archie Gray in this position, or Ampadu. Look at them both. Absolutely fine. No one around them. Right? They have all their men basically behind the ball. Watch them. And we're progressing it out wide. We're trying to create width. This is where the 3rd man run needs to come in, because you're not breaking this down. Look at it. And again, look at it. Will Anonto has the ball in this position. Where's the midfielder? One of them they're both sat back. They don't need to be. There's no threat of a counter. There was not a threat of a counter in this game. There's strikers there. We're fine. There's no threat of a counter. And even if there was, you have to take that risk because there's 2 of them there. There doesn't need to be 2 of them because you've got 2 centre-backs. Bring one forward. There's still 3. There's 4 at the back here. Where's the midfielder run making this area again? Not doing a great job and Ayling this time of isolating the wide areas. There's 3 of them. They're not coming down here. They're not coming down the side. We have to get someone in this position. And this is where I'm talking about Gruev and Kamara, how I think they could impact the game in these areas. Because we didn't have that attacking output, which Daniel Farke said he needs from midfielders in this game. Now, Nonto comes inside and attacks that space again. But again, there's 15 bodies in front of goal. And it's on his left foot. It's going to be difficult to get a goal from. But if there's a midfielder making a late run in this area, you're 1v1 in the box. And you've got 2 or 3 guys in the box. Much better scoring opportunity. And this is where it isn't necessarily about positions or a 10. It's about the attributes of the players and getting the right players to do the right things in the game. So our strikers, our 10 and our 9 are in the box. And that's fine. They were right in there. Otherwise, you're just lost. And Piroe's marked. Like, if Piroe tries to be in this position, there'll be someone on him. When he's in the box, it drags these two guys out of this area here. So a midfielder can come in, but they didn't do it. And it's not like they're not there. Look, they're both here. Archgrave's behind my head. And Ampadu's there. He's calling for it now. It's too late now. 2 or 3 seconds earlier. And this is what Daniel Farke will get into these players when he goes through it and he'll look. And this is what he means by attacking output. We need more from midfielders to attack. It's too late now. They're back in the block. None of us going to shoot. There's no option. So they were both there available. And this is what we need to work on. This is the final clip I use, and I like this one because this is Ampadu showing how progressive he can be from deep, which he can be. He's very good. He needs some very good deep passes this time. And obviously, as you can see, Jorginho Rutter's movement for here is excellent. Really good movement, and it's just one ball. Because what they did, as you can see in their midfield, are a little bit higher, so there is space. But what we did was vacate this space. Ideally, this pass goes to Ayling. Bannon's waits on this side. You can get that ball through to Ayling. And then you've got an overload out wide. And you can get guys into the box. Ayling's in great space. Inverted. Archgrave covering him. Ball goes into Ayling. You're in. But what we did and what was clever, and this is what Jorginho Rutter is good for, Jorginho Rutter can stretch a defence, giving you an extra option, which he did here. But he has to score. And that's the overthinking part Daniel Farke was talking about. Great ball. This position. Look how much he stretched that defence now. Just one run in between the defenders and a ball over the top and a good ball. And you're in on goal. And that's what Jorginho Rutter can do. And that's why when we had the ball in a progressive area, Rutter played higher up than Piroe. He's more effective on the last man. Got to score here. His movement and his first touch are outstanding. The finish was terrible. And this is what he's got to do. He's got to stop overthinking these moments. That's for the coach and him to work out. But this is what I mean by we have to understand the difference between a number 10 and what that is. A number 10 isn't this creative player that can just pick a game. If it's a low block, you need everyone else to come up because you're not going to get it to the number 10. You can't rely on him to do every single thing in the game because what's the attributes of the number 10? Stiepermann, who was the number 10 at Norwich, weren't this creative guy who would break down defences. His movement was excellent. And his short passing and movement was really good. We have to use our attributes to our effectiveness in games. And we will find that. That will take time. With Kamara and Gruev coming in, those positions, attacking I spoke about, will be exploited more. Because they're brave on the ball. They will get forward with it and they will progress with it. That was the fourth clear, open chance. So we did create clear chances, 4 of them, in which we should have scored. And we should have had a penalty. Look, I'm not saying Daniel Farke got it right. I don't think he got it wrong. I just think it's about the players learning what they need to do. Jorginho Rutter and Piroe didn't necessarily play at 10 and a 9. It depended on the phase of the game. It depended on in possession or out possession. It was very fluid in that sense. They were both often played deeper. But then when we had the ball in midfield with Cree, Rutter would then stretch to the 9 and go forward and stretch the defence, create width and depth, which he did well and effectively in the game. Piroe can't do that, so Piroe sat deeper and created play and joined the play up. The issue was Piroe didn't play very well and his touch wasn't on it, his movement wasn't sharp enough. That will come and he will understand the system better in that sense. Also what I showed about the width, when we get in those wide areas, those late midfield runs, the ones that are not marked, they're unmarked. You're not prepared for that. Those are the guys and those are the spaces that break down low blocks and we didn't exploit it. Those were the 2 main things. Late midfield runners and just final product. The final ball, we created 4 clear chances to score. 4. You have to take them. 1 or 2 of them you have to. And we didn't. So those are the key things I brought out with this game. Piroe didn't necessarily play at 10. He played a hybrid role with Rutter, who both switched the position depending on the situation we were on the pitch. And I didn't mind that. Issue was getting the ball to them. The issue was creating chances through the low block by not exploiting, the gaps in midfield, by bringing a midfielder into those areas that were free and not being good in the final third in terms of finishing. Those were the issues. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. I know it's a long one, but I enjoy these ones. These ones are fun. Let me know what you guys think. I appreciate the support. As usual, you're all legends, and see you in a bit.